he is probably the best amateur telescope maker I've ever met. So he's been working on a project, and he's got some pictures and a couple of things to demonstrate the size of the lens. And let's give him a big hand. Welcome.
So everybody in the club has a passion in some aspect of astronomy. Some of you guys are photographers, some of you guys are visual. I like visual, but I also like building stuff. So what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about my journey through a large aperture telescope. And but before I do, this talk was actually a backup for a talk that was supposed to happen last month. Okay? This one right here. So last year, Steve Dodson, Alan Ward, and myself were fortunate enough to rent the Lowell Observatory for one night. So the good thing here is later this year, probably in the spring, there's going to be a fabulous talk on this subject. The bad thing is I've had an extra month to double the number of slides for this presentation. Okay, so my journey kind of started back in 1996 when I was at Starfest, and Jeff Collinson talked me into going down there. And I had a look through a scope just like this one over. Is there a laser pointer?
Yeah.
The big one over there. That's a 20-inch obsession. It was Brian McKillop. Did I spell his name right?
Probably not.
Probably not. Anyway,
Your pronunciation right.
Wonderful guy, wonderful scope, and it was amazing. I had a great time that year. So the following year, I decided to build my own telescope, this one right here. It's a 12.5 inch at 5. And I brought that to Starfest the following year. But ever since then, I've always been dreaming about having that large aperture telescope. You know? And in 2002, 2003, 2004, something strange happened. I actually bought a mirror. So it's a 25-inch mirror, and it's a plate glass. And I grab it. Okay. And the intention, obviously, was to build something with it. So, can you guys read that?
I can drop it just a bit.
Maybe just drop it a little tiny bit.
Yeah, it drops real quick.
Take the memory thing. That's good enough?
Up a hair. Down a bit.
Put it up and then just let it go down.
Ah, there.
Good.
Perfect. Thank you.
All right.
Need to raise
Okay,
the
so
brain outside of it.
as I was researching what to build, I love building stuff. So as I was researching it, I noticed that focal ratios for telescopes were going down, portability was going up, aperture was increasing, and scopes were getting a little bit lighter, and the field of view was going up. Because these are trends I noticed. Okay, I added my wish list to this thing. That's my car back then. So my dream was to put a 25-inch telescope in that car. Okay, it was a Maxima, so it's not a van. So I designed a telescope to go for it. And what I wanted was a very light scope and no ladder. To see this as a theme through my talk tonight. So what I actually made was a 25-inch mirror. I made it into an f12.7. Okay? It was only 1 inch thick, and I'll talk about that a bit later on. The secondary mirror was 7¼ inches diagonal. I don't know if that means anything to you guys, but that's a great big diagonal. The whole telescope was only 90 pounds. So if you go out and buy an obsession, 25-inch obsession today, you're looking at about 230 pounds, 250 pounds. So I did it at 90 pounds. Pretty amazing. And the eyepiece height of 67 inches, which means no ladder. Sounds like magical, doesn't it?
Yeah, because 4.7 times 25 is more than that.
Exactly. Somebody can do the math. Trevor, you missed your chance here. I wanted a scope that had no biodegradable material. I'll talk about that. I'll talk about these last few things in a minute. So the first thing is I ground out the mirror and we polished it on Allen's machine back in 2005. And here we are with, we finished the mirror after many attempts to get it right. That image on the far right there with my hand, that's a focal diagram. So what it does is it amplifies the errors on the surface. So the mirror looks 25 inches, but the errors from a perfect parabola are magnified by 100,000 times, so it's a really good way to test an error. I put my hand in front of there because you can actually see the swirl, the heat swirls from my hand. Kind of a fun shot. Okay, then we took it to the David Dunlop Observatory back in 2005 and had it coated in their chamber. So now they could only do bare aluminum coatings. They could not do an overcoat. Okay, so bare aluminum, it does actually develop a little bit of a skin. The surface oxidizes to aluminum oxide, so it survives for a couple of years before it degrades. So we had a couple of good years of work. Now, coming from the model aircraft area, I decided I wanted something really light and super strong, really strong. So I borrowed a method from the model aircraft guys, which is building composites. This is foam core, fiberglass over foam core construction. And I brought the secondary ring here. Okay. I'll pass this around. Gives you an idea how strong something can be. Get it, how light it is. Amazing, absolutely. That's not even carbon fiber. That's just fiberglass over foam core. Gives you an idea of what that's like. And I made the rest of the parts. So whoever used my telescope last summer, you probably never even knew that it was constructed this way. Okay, and here it is. So the way I designed the mirror box was it's all aluminum frame, welded together with triangles, and I mounted everything together. Now this is looking into the mirror box. So this is actually the the mirror support. It's a 27-point mirror support. Actually, I've got a photograph of it. This is a better shot. So this is the 27-point mirror cell. And the way this works is, you know when you're collimating your telescope, you have 3 points? Normally what those 3 points do is they push on different parts of the mirror to collimate it. What this thing does is it takes those 3 points and splits them into 3, another 3, another 3, another 3. So the collimation points would normally be right here. But I did not want to deform the mirror, because if you visualize, you've got a sling that's holding the bottom of the mirror. Wish I had a camera for that shot.
We're going to jump through it.
It's got a ring button.
Normally when you collimate a telescope like this, you're pushing up against the sling, so you're causing it to deform slightly. And what I did not want to do is deform that thin mirror. So what I've designed is a mirror cell that's different than anything else you've ever seen. Because the mirror is supported on the cell, and it actually pivots on this point, that point, and the far one over there. So I can collimate the mirror without having any deflection on the glass. I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's how it was designed. And now some of the newer ones that are just being produced now from Obsession, some of these guys are just starting to use this kind of technology. I did this back in 2005, which is kind of fun. Anyway, you do some skipping. Hula hooping, that's it. Okay. So this is the scope from the back side, okay? Now the other thing I've done here, you can actually collimate a telescope with only 2 points. So here's the 1 point here. Once you get a mirror installed, once you get that one positioned properly, you can collimate with only 2 points. You can do that with secondary mirrors or primary mirrors. I designed that back in 2005, which is kind of neat. Okay, here's the view without the covers. This is what it looked like. So you have a point. A scope like this would normally, you'd need a 6 foot, maybe even probably an 8 foot ladder to look through it. So what I've done here is I've folded the light back, so it's coming back down towards you. Okay, I think I've got a better photograph of it coming up. This is the way that the mirror looked, the scope looked. This one right here. Now you can visualize what was done. And to date, there's only one manufacturer now that's producing scopes like this, and that's Norm Fulham out of Montreal. He's making 36-inch and 50-inch scopes like this, and claiming he's the first guy to do it. Well, I did this back in 2005. So the idea here is you've got a big mirror, and it's folding the light back down here, letting you look at through the eyepiece. Okay. And what I've done, I don't have it in this photograph here, but I actually had a baffling tube that went that look up at the secondary. So the way the light works, it goes through the secondary, hits the primary mirror, it focuses down, hits the secondary up there, and comes down and right into the eyepiece. Now this scope here, although you're standing there looking at the zenith, it's about 10 feet tall, so it's kind of tall. But the eyepiece is down about, I think it's, what did I say, 67 inches. So looking at the zenith, you just walk up and look straight up like that. 25-inch scope. And here we are at Starfest. I first brought it. This is actually the first light at Starfest. And there's the collimation tube right there, the baffling tube. And it worked extremely well. The way I designed that thing is you're looking up at the secondary and all it sees is the secondary mirror. Nothing more. It's kind of like the Cassegrains are like that. But the Cassegrains have the mirror and the tube in the center. This is off to the side. This worked really, really well. There's Starfest 2006. Everyone's smiling, except you see clouds. This is first light. Yeah, I know. It sucks. This is second light. Same light. So Mike Renner, who isn't here today, he apologized that he's got something he had to go to, but he took this shot for me. And we had a great night. Anybody here know Chris Beckett? Yeah. Chris Beckett is a dark nebula guy. We had so much fun this night with this scope because anywhere we look at the Milky Way, there's dark nebula everywhere. It was incredible. I've never seen that view ever since that point in time. Okay, so a few of the characteristics of that scope. Okay, the good. Had really good contrast ratio. I was really impressed with that. Dark nebula everywhere. It was a conversation piece. People came over to look at it. They'd never seen anything like it before. And it probably was the lightest 25-inch telescope in the world. Color on bright objects, which is quite evident. No ladder. There are a few bad things. And the worst one was the split neck syndrome. So when you're looking up, you didn't realize that at the time, but your neck gets stiff and you're looking up. And that was getting pretty bad, actually. It's a little bit on the shaky side. Beryllium photos started to deteriorate after 2 years, and the field of view. So 25-inch f 4.7, the widest field I can get was about 3/4 of a degree, which really isn't enough. So that was a big drawback. Okay, so I decided to shuffle some stuff up there. So what I did is, to solve my stiff neck problem, I decided to add a third mirror. So what I've done is I folded the light a little bit up more, and I've added another third mirror right here. So what I've done is I've had to lift it up a little bit so the eyepiece height is a little bit higher, but now you're looking straight into it. Okay. So collimating this telescope is actually quite easy because I put a laser collimator in here. I collimate that secondary, that tertiary, I guess it is, to that secondary. There's a center guard on the secondary, and then I adjust that one to the primary, and I shoot the primary back through the system here until it's ready. I can collimate it in about 5 minutes. It's really, really easy. You know, it's got 3 mirrors. Okay. Gene will probably remember this. Too bad Mike wasn't here. This young lady saw this thing and came over and started to talk. She was actually, what was her name? KCD from Astro Shorts. There used to be a website called, they used to do short little videos on astronomy. She came and interviewed me for that session. The reason I'm showing this, not to see her, is to show you the collimation adjustments on the scope and what it kind of looked like. And this one here, Mike shot these. So she was standing next to me, and I swung the telescope up to show her something. And I remember she was like, went back like this, holy cow. Because it's 10 feet tall. And this right here is my ladder. Most of you guys who were at Bayfield last year got a chance to use that ladder. That's it. I like to keep my feet as close to the ground as possible. Okay, so how did it perform? We did solve my stiff neck problem. Okay. It was good for a 25-inch scope, I thought. The collimation was quick, but I did lose some contrast. And I think the reason that happened was because that incident light coming off of that mirror there was grazing the mirror like on a sharp angle. I don't think that was very good. So I decided to scrap that. Okay. This is version 3 of that same scope. Okay, so hope we got the right presentation. Okay, so I started doing some research in making some alterations to this telescope. So what I did is Alan Ward and I decided to look at some characteristics of optical systems. And this is a graph that kind of shows the degrees off axis that you're looking at versus the Strel ratio. So when you're buying telescopes, you're buying optics. You want to buy optics that are diffraction limited. Right? You can see that diffraction limited has a Strel ratio of 0.8. In this particular diagram here, we're showing a Strel ratio of 1, which is a perfect mirror, something that can't really be achieved. It's showing that as you're looking through the center of that eyepiece, okay, if you're at f4.5, you're only diffraction limited in the very, very center. And as you go further out, you see more and more coma. You guys remember what coma looks like? It looks like little seagulls, right? And this shows you that at 4.5, not very forgiving. Even at f8, it's not very forgiving. Really, it's like you can still see coma even at f8. I have an f6, so I know what that looks like. There's something that was introduced a few years ago called the Pekurar 2, and I bought it. And what it is, it's a parabolic corrector for your eyepiece. And in the paperwork it says it makes an f3 telescope perform like an f12. I said, bullshit. So, until I tried it, and it was right. So what I did is I drew this diagram here where I think it is, and it's actually performing extremely well. So the way it shows up in the field in the eyepiece is you get a very good uniform field of view. Like it's very sharp stars right across the whole field of view. It's really nice. F8 is nice as well, but F6, I have an F6, and after looking through the F3 with the Pekurar, I actually don't like the coma in F6. It's just quite amazing. Okay, so this is something that a fellow that I know, Mel Bartels, put out. I think I showed this once before. Sorry, the cut off at the bottom here. But it shows you over the years, this is the focal ratio of telescopes. Back in the 1960s, f8 telescopes were very common. Those were like, that was a cat's meow back then. You get f8. Then it went down to f6, and around I got introduced around here. Yeah, f4.5 is quite common. The enabling technology that allowed this focal ratio to go down. You can see people want it to go down. It's heading that way. Is the improvement in eyepieces over the years, okay? From the Huygens to the Kellner to the Fossil to the first coma correction to the radians. And now we're at a point where I built a scope in 2013, so I tried to put this point here at f2.8. So the guy who did this drawing was very, very accurate. Mine showed up pretty accurate right there. I'm working on something else, so I'll tell you what it is. Okay, so the purpose of this diagram here is to show you something really interesting. By going faster focal ratio, okay, you can go from let's say you got an 8-inch telescope giving you about 1.2 degree field of view, okay? What this is showing you is if you keep the exit pupil the same size, which means that the amount of light going to your eye is the same, you can now go from an 8-inch to a 10-inch to a 12-inch telescope and go wider field of view. Okay, so those prior slides I just showed you, what this means is you can get a larger mirror to collect more light, you can go faster focal ratios, you get wider fields of view. So the field of view is increased here. And with the Pekurar Type 2, you get sharper images across the view field. So it's like the best of all worlds, except for price. Okay, so 2008 to 2013, the aluminum coating kind of went bad on that mirror, and the DDO stopped coating mirrors. So the scope set did nothing. Okay. But instead, I used my time to explore superfast mirrors, but it was not a complete waste of time in those years. Although it was 5 years, it was not a complete waste. Because I created that thing there. I call it the Hobbit scope, and I took this to Stellafane 2016, I think it was. And what it did is I was able to prove that superfast optics do perform really well. For a 12.5-inch telescope, getting over 2 degrees field of view is pretty amazing. Sharp images. And this scope became the template for all of my future designs. I still have that telescope. I didn't change it at all. There's really nothing that I want to do to it. It's really nice the way it is. So then I started thinking, well, you know, I can do better. So I managed to pick up a 24-inch mirror, just a blank. It's called a BBC. It's just a black glass. It's nothing special. I grounded to f3.3 in 2014, and I actually wanted f3, but I couldn't do it because that mirror, it's actually laminated in layers. I didn't want to break. I was getting close to breaking the next lamination layer, so I stopped at f3.3. But I got it close to 1 degree, which is what I was aiming for. I wanted to fix my my neck strain problem, and again, the happy face with no ladder is what I was hoping for. Okay. I don't want this. This is Eldon's telescope, built by Dennis Mayhew out of St. Catharines. This thing is crazy. I climbed up and down that thing one night so many times it was ridiculous. Yeah, that's a 15-foot cherry picking ladder. And on that, when you're on the top, when you're at the zenith, your feet are there. And the only thing keeping you from falling is the scope. You didn't hear that, did you? So I did not want that. But here's the mirror I bought, and you can kind of see the lamination layers. The first layer is 1/2 inch, and I was getting close to penetrating it, so I stopped. Which I wish I would have continued, because the average head is a little bit higher than I would have liked. So this is Eldon. This is at Eldon's workshop in Sudbury. We're pouring the pitch lamp, and right after the pour, you have to put the actual tool on there. The problem we have here is it's stuck to the glass. So we had to quickly move fast to give that first motion, get it moving before it sticks.
What's that, hold my beer?
Yeah, I don't know who took the photos. Either Mike or I don't know who it was. Quick, grab my beer. There's a lot of beer involved in making telescopes. So then that's the 24-inch mirror over there on his testing stand. The interesting thing is, local tests, which is the standard in testing mirrors, could not normally test a mirror this fast. It just doesn't work. The errors go too high. So what we had to do is we invented a way of using the focal test that would work. And that was kind of neat. That was kind of a breakthrough for us. So any of the future mirrors that we make, we have an approach to take it. All right, in 2014, completed the mirror in 2014, but then, oops, the coating to coat that mirror is about $1,500 US. So I couldn't get that one past my wife, so I finished the mirror, just let it sit there for a little bit. So, plus the mirror was 74 pounds versus 30 pounds for the old scope. So it was more than double the weight of the old scope, which means that I had a mechanical problem. But I had the Hobbit scope, so I kept playing with that thing. But unfortunately, the mirror sat around for 4 or 5 years. And then something happened. Okay, I met some fellows at Stellafane who were silvering their own mirrors with the spray silvering. I don't know if you guys remember, you used to be able to do dip silvering, where you dip your mirror in a silver solution, you can silver it. You can do that with little mirrors. Well, there's new technology out now that lets you spray it on. And you can spray anything you want, a house if you want. It's amazing. Angel Gilding is the company. This is just an example here. So I estimated the cost of silvering that mirror about $25. Even that I think is a little high. But I think I can get one full observing session out of it. I know this is So the next 12 slides are because this guy here asked questions, so. All right, so why do you want a silver? Well, one of the reasons you want a silver, this is actually a reflectance curve I did at work on one of Alan's mirrors. And it's that green line at the top there. This here is the scotopic, this is where your eye is sensitive at night, which is what you want to look at night. It peaks between 98 and 99% reflective. It's extremely reflective. Look how flat that curve is right across the whole spectrum. It's beautiful for taking photography, for pretty much anything. It's ideal for many, many things. So that's why you want to silver it. How to do it? It's very simple. I got a few steps here. You need to get some calcium carbonate from the pharmacy. That's the can at the top right there. And you can order the chemicals online. They have no problem shipping them to Canada. $109 US. Covers these two little bottles. They're only about that big. They're concentrates. It covers 260 square feet.
I could do math.
I prefer math. We can do, what did I calculate, 60 or 80 mirrors. My 24-inch mirrors with that. Okay, so what is that, about $2 a mirror or something like that? But, you know, they do have shelf life. So,
Get a gallon, he says.
oh, get a gallon, yeah. Yeah, go for it. Right here, 10.
Spray all the windows in your house.
Just fill the whole city with that. What I did do, because my mirror was so large, I needed a way to move it from horizontal to vertical position during that process. I just built a silver ink, but I did it large enough that I can do my 24 and right up to Eldon's 30-inch. So it's good. And this is my first attempt. And Carol happened to be there at the same time when I did this first. So the mirror is actually right here. I couldn't focus on the glass because it was so reflective. I was just focusing on something that was hanging in the garage. But it worked really well. I think we had a few beers over that.
Yeah.
This is my second attempt.
You still got at everything that was you could have found.
Oh, yeah. I had chemicals left over. I was looking for things to silver. Now this is the 24-inch mirror. And the lights are on the garage, so it looks a little bit yellowish. It's not yellowish, it looks good. And it turned out perfect. As if it came out of Alan's coating chamber. It just turned out so well. It was super shiny, super reflective. And Carol is right. I silvered everything I could find. Mind you, I had to finish those bottles in the meantime.
Are you worried about like dust or particles in the atmosphere when you silver it? How clean the atmosphere is? No.
You know, I'll show you. I'll go through the steps here.
Okay.
But if you're interested, I know you've been asking questions. If you're interested in doing this, I've got chemicals left over.
Okay.
But it doesn't. It's not like that at all. It comes out really, really nice and clean. So these are in my living room now. Let's show you. Okay, so it's really simple. First thing you do is mix the chemicals, and I did create a spreadsheet that helps calculate the mix ratio, because the mix ratio can be kind of tricky to figure out. First thing is, so you mix the chemicals, get those ready. And those can be ready for like a day or two before, so no rush. The next thing is you have to scrub the mirror down really, really well. But this is what they do on the 200-inch mirror. They use calcium carbonate. And you scrub it down until the glass starts to squeak. Okay? And when it squeaks, you'll notice that the water will not break anymore. Okay, so normally when you put water on glass, you see that it feeds and it runs off, right? When you get to this point here, you put water on it, and it just a thin layer just stays on it. It doesn't bead anymore. That's what you want. You want to get to that point, and then you wash it, and you got to keep it wet. Sorry?
Just your hand, or what are you using?
Oh yeah, I'm using my wife's makeup stuff. I did ask permission. And I did not give them back. So it's pretty amazing to see it, because what it does, it takes all the organic molecules off the surface, and it really, really cleans it. Really does a beautiful job. And the trick here is you got to use distilled water, and you got to keep it wet. If you let it dry, it'll oxidize right away. You got to scrub it again. Things won't stick to it. And the secret, that's one secret. The next one is silver does not stick to most substances. Silver does not like glass, will not stick to glass. So you got to find something that will stick to silver, that silver will stick to. And it turns out that tin sticks to glass and silver sticks to tin. So there's a tin solution that you use that you put on for 30 seconds, just deposits a few molecules, and you wash it off right away. And keep it wet again. And then you spray on the silver solution and silver reducer together. And it's amazing. It's just like magic the way the silver just appears on the surface. And you wash it and you dry it right away. And the reason you don't get particles on there is because it's a constant flow of water on there. Just a gentle flow. And I can do it 24 now in about 2 hours. So it's pretty simple, pretty easy
Peter,
now. Yeah.
do you spray these horizontally or vertically?
Good question. Okay, I'm gonna go back. This one here. Good question. So I did some experiments, and the reason I was so happy with the first experiment, when Carol was not there, I did it all horizontal, and it looked like a mess. It didn't look very good at all. It had white spots and dark spots all over the place. And I realized what I was doing is that you have to keep the chemical solutions flowing because they react so quickly. You have to get them off the glass quickly. So what I've designed here is a jig so that the mirror sits on top of this thing and it rests against those rubberized posts horizontally. I can spray the tin on there, leave it for 30 seconds, and I can tip it. And it goes into a small kitty bathtub that I use to collect all this stuff. I rinse it off in almost a vertical position to get it all clean. I don't even touch it. After the scrubbing, I'm not touching it anymore. It's just water. And then I go back, and when I do the silver solution itself, I do it at about a 20 degree to 30 degree angle. And that gives enough time for the chemical solutions to slowly drip away without contaminating glass. Yeah. And it works, and then I put it back into a vertical position, and I wash it. That's why I built this thing. It works. It worked extremely well. But what I did notice is that the solution reacts to wood. And actually creates an outgas that will contaminate the glass. So actually, I think right here you can see I lined it with just plastic for fingers.
Is this toxic at all?
Yeah, there is a little bit of toxicity, you're right. I do have to wear a mask. It's a cheap $16 mask. And I have to discard, I have to neutralize the chemicals. But there's a simple kit. The same guys, they sell you a small kit that does it all. Yeah, those are good questions. But there is a little bit of problem. Those of you guys, who was at Bayfield this past? Did you guys notice this stuff on my glass?
Pointed out to us, yeah.
There are these little bugs, these little things shit all over my mirror. And every one of those spots got contaminated. So that's a bit of a risk for this process. Pollen can cause it to discolor as well a little bit. But I still think I can get a season out of it. But I do have another solution. This is my solution here. One of my friends, online friends, he works at the University of Oklahoma. Him and I were working together to try to find ways to protect silver. People have been trying to do this for years. And this is what we came up with, and it works. There's a company called Technique, and what they do is they sell a chemical that is designed specifically to protect semiconductor until they get ready for. So they use silver, and we went to Rojas for chemical for. We got rid of lead and solder. We replaced it with silver, so they had to protect the silver until the devices are soldered. So this company came up with this chemical that's really neat. I love the way they say it's proven to protect silver under the harshest conditions. Yes. Bullshit. Prevents yellow discoloration under the hardest conditions. Yes. It's a nano coating.
How about bug damage?
Yeah. It's a nano coating, so it's extremely thick. It's a nanometer range thickness, and it goes on within 5 seconds. So I haven't applied this yet, but we've done some test strips. Dipping, but I think the 24-inch, what I'll do is I'll spray it on and I'll wash it off after 5 seconds. And I think this will work. We've already done some testing. The guy from the university there, he's done some pretty harsh acid test, and it survived that. And I measured the reflectivity of the surface using this stuff, and it did not deteriorate at all. So I feel really good about it. But it doesn't protect, it doesn't provide a mechanical layer, so you can still rub it off. It won't tarnish. The bugs shouldn't be able to attack it quick. So we haven't figured out the mechanical area, but it doesn't matter. If the coating lasts 3 years because of this. You know, we're gonna get- So this is the mirror before. So actually, just going back here, this is a major breakthrough. There will be an article in Sky and Telescope talking about what I just showed you here. This is a huge, huge breakthrough. This is my black PVC mirror in the telescope before I silvered it. We've seen it after. This is it after the silvering. This is my garage. And this is the scope I took to Bayfield last year. Other than the funny looking guy there, did you see anything strange in this photograph about that scope? Anybody see anything strange? Huh?
The weight hanging off?
Yeah. There's a 10-pound weight there because the mirror is so heavy I had to counterbalance it. Yeah. But I kept walking around, so that's actually, this has a 79-inch focal length. Mike's scope back there, the 16-inch, has an 82-inch focal length. This is shorter. Okay? But I was walking around the field looking at it, and every time I look at it, I really like the form factor. Like it's a nice size scope, you know, for 24 inch. Really, really nice. Smallest one I've ever seen. And that's my ladder. I wasn't successful in getting rid of that ladder, not yet anyway. That's it. So this is what I saw when we were there. So that was the first light again. I have this habit of doing first light at star party. So the first thing I saw was the moon. It wasn't even dark yet, and I was just floored by what I saw. 'Cause I was expecting it to just bloom and just sizzle bright. So it wasn't. It was nice. It was sharp. And I've never seen so much fine detail on the surface of the moon. You know, I've got a small astrophysics refractor. I've got a Royce 10-inch f10 mirror, 10-inch f6 mirror that's really, really good quality. It doesn't give views like that. I was really quite happy with it. Mars, Jupiter, Saturn was wonderful and sharp, really sharp. I could see the ankle division coming in and out, which is the smallest, the really small division on the rings of Saturn. M42 I thought was, I don't know what, was it 2:30 or 3 o'clock in the morning? It was not even that high up off the horizon. It was unbelievable. It was the best view I've ever seen on 42. Who here saw it do that scope that night? You did? You were there? Good, good. It was amazing. Mike was there. You could see the greens. Mike pointed out the reds. I've never seen red on 42 before, which is really cool. We tested a bunch of filters. I found the UHC was the best one. The Comet, 21P. I can't pronounce the guy's name, so
There's an ER too many in there.
whatever.
Energy.
It was the one comet that was up that night.
That's okay.
Through your refractor,
Yeah.
we saw it as a fuzzball.
First of all, I mean, yours is amazing. It was amazing.
Through Mike's 16-inch, you could see the fuzzball and you could see a tail.
Yes.
Through this thing, you could see the tail was right across the entire field of view, and you could see striations in it, which I call that the best night view of it too. They're both the best. The Veil Nebula was really, really good. I've seen it through a 28-inch telescope before, so it was really good. It wasn't quite the best. The Dumbo was Steve Dodson's favorite because the detail in the side handles. And the Ring Nebula, I could see the central star just barely peeking in and out, which is kind of neat. I was looking for reds. This aperture scope should be able to see red in the Ring Nebula. Couldn't see it that night, unfortunately. The Crescent Nebula was amazing, actually. I don't know if you guys saw the Crescent that night, but it was, the Crescent Nebula has the main structure, but has nebulosity all around it, which you can see with this thing, which is really spectacular. The double cluster was wonderful. I think most of the people that were there saw the double cluster do this thing. What I was disappointed with is the field of view is a little bit too narrow. I like to see the double cluster, the entire cluster in one field. I didn't quite get there with this.
So the view of Mars, that was my favorite for the night, because
Yeah.
it was better than Darrell Archer's pictures.
Well, I don't know about going that far. It was good, it was good.
But another part is because of the larger aperture, you get what, higher resolution?
Resolution was up.
Because,
Yeah.
and I just never saw anything visually, that sharp.
Every once in a while, you get these views that stick in your mind, Like the first time I saw, Jupiter through astrophysics refractor, how sharp it is, that kind of thing sticks in your mind, and you're right, that kind of thing, you'll remember that.
Yeah.
It was really nice. That was a good night. So, the verdict. But good, it was wonderful. Good planetary, good deep sky, very comfortable size. I really like the size. But I found the eyepiece still a little bit too high. I'm very disappointed Marie couldn't quite see it, get to it on her tiptoes. So I got to fix that problem. The bag, the mount was a little bit shaky because of the technology I used back 14 years ago when I built the original one. The friction was too high, I knew that. The balance was too high, so I needed the 10-pound weight.
Finding Neptune was difficult because doing those fine movements is hard to locate.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So what was accomplished? I spent the last 14 years or so working on this thing. We devised a new way to use a focal test to test fast mirrors. That was cool. I think I built the first ultra-fast large aperture mirror in Canada. I don't think anybody in Canada ever built something like that. It was the first 100% machine figure mirror. We did not do any of the handwork that you normally do with figure. We did all this in the machine. This is really quite amazing. It's the first spray silver mirror in Canada, and it's the first large aperture no ladder telescope in Canada, which I think is pretty cool. Hopefully, all this talk and chatter with you guys will generate a little bit of interest to some of you guys. Oops. I see somebody here. There's a spy shot. Somebody working on something, which is really good to see. There's a talk coming up. Okay. So version 4. Okay, so last year, 2018, I came across, I've known Mel Bartels for years, probably 10, 12 years. I never met the guy, but we're on the internet all the time together. I don't know if you guys looked at Sky and Telescope. I think it's this month, January. You saw that telescope in Sky and Tel. There's an article about it. He's done some amazing work to get the message out to the world about that you can build your own stuff. You can do it for a better price. You can do a better job. You can do a better job than you can buy commercially, and you can make things that no one else has ever made, which is really cool. There's another guy in that group, Richard Berry. You guys heard of him?
Yeah.
He's written about 20, half a dozen, 2 dozen books. I don't know how many, lots of books on telescope making. He's amazing. Jerry Oltian, he's the current guy who writes the telescope making piece in Sky and Tel. He's in the group too. So there's everyone there is just really just incredible. This other guy here, he's built a 3D printed this binocular telescope.
Oh.
Okay. And apparently it works really well. The problem is he lives in Oregon. That's not his problem, it's my problem, because they got better skies. Anyways, so I've learned a lot of stuff from those guys. I'm in the process right now of replacing the composite stuff with wood. I'm lowering the balance point by 4.5 inches. That's what I calculated I needed to do. I'm introducing something called a flux rocker, which I'll show you in a second. I'm going to eventually add digital setting circles. Stay tuned. This is a flux rocker. The problem with large aperture telescopes is you need big bearings. Big bearings give you stability, and it gives you the ability to get the balance point down close to the ground, so that when you touch the telescope, the energy from that touch gets shunted right to the ground as fast as it can get. The problem with big bearings is that you never really get good contact on 4 points. You define a plane of 3 points, not 4, but you got 4 points. So the way this thing works, these 2 rings here are called the ground wall. And they're designed to be really, really stiff structure. This top thing here is designed to flex. So that as you're moving the telescope, your balance point could be, your 3 points of contact could be those 2 bearings and meet at the center of these 2. You visualize that? So it solves all of your problems. It gives you good contact on all 4 paths in a low profile system. I'm gonna incorporate that in the next round. Here's, you were here for this too. Let's cut in circles for the LT bearings. So I'm making the part right now. This is what it's gonna look like eventually. There's the ground board, the rocker, really low. And the rest of the scope. Oh, I should have deleted this since my wife is here. I didn't want her to see these prices. Anyways, I thought you should probably see, one of the reasons that you might want to make your own scope is, the bottom line here, here, it's 20, you can't buy a 24-inch telescope for that price. Absolutely 10 times that price, yes. Not that price. Now, what's not in here is all the beer that went to it. Could be a few extra. Okay, so what's my next challenge? You're saying, okay, what am I going to do next? Well, I got my mitts on a 27.5-inch mirror blink. Now think, just visualize forwards in time. I'm going to either slump it or grind it to f2.6. Okay? Imagine a field of view that's greater than 24-inch, over 1 degree. So it's solve plane, the current problem. We're going to spend the time to get the mirror perfect, as good as we can get it. Imagine that you're using almost a 28-inch telescope and you're sitting in a chair for most of the viewing positions. No step stool, no ladder. Okay. I'm going to make it so that it folds, so you can transport it easily. And it may put my 24 for sale later on after I get that thing done. See the big happy face there. That's something new that I'm going to be working on. And I don't usually go out observing alone. I like to go out observing people, so I'm hoping to bring this thing out more often this year. Yeah, that's it. Any questions?
Any questions for Peter?
When you silver the mirror,
Yeah.
you do it on a mirror that's previously illuminated.
You have to strip the aluminum. Yep.
So what do you strip the aluminum?
What do you strip it with?
What do you strip the aluminum with?
Oh, ferrochlorate will do that.
Yeah.
You can get that. That stuff lasts forever. Alan, that's what Alan does. He works overnight. He'll strip it and scrub it down and just spray. So are you open to silver here?
Yeah.
Good. Here. Okay.
You mentioned in one of the slides, you mentioned you joined OSW. What's that?
Okay, so there's a bunch of astronomers that are doing, I believe, the most creative work in the world. They're out of Oregon, so it's the Oregon Scope Works or something like that. It's just a group of amateurs, and they're doing some incredible jobs. People are joining the club, that group, from all over the world. But it's a small group, and you can ask questions, and it's really, it's a good experience being there.
What it means, you said, Oregon?
Oregon, because they live in Oregon.
Scope works.
Scope?
Scope Works. Yeah,
Oh,
there's
okay.
it's just a name they came up with. It's not a company, it's just a name.
Okay.